Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am here with my end of May wrap up and June TBR for you guys since it is the end of the month. I basically did a repeat of last month in that I read 8 books this month, so let's go over what I did. Most of these I'm gonna have to show you pictures of because for one reason or another I don't have a physical copy, but the first book that I read this month was called Umbral. It was by Anthony Johnston, I believe. This was a graphic novel that I read for that book club that I said I joined in my last wrap up video. I thought that it was kind of interesting, but it actually had a lot of problems for me in that like the characters felt really flat and the art was really kind of muddy and confusing, but it had a decent like basis of a world, and apparently there's a volume 2 that maybe like goes into that more, so I might end up reading volume 2, but overall I thought that it was just kind of, it didn't really hook me in any particular way. Like there was a lot of stuff that happened, but it didn't seem to really connect to anything. I don't know. I read it a while ago. It didn't really stick with me, so I guess that's what I would say. So the next book that I read was called Beware the Wild by Natalie C. Parker, I believe. This is a YA that I read on ebook. It is sort of a Southern Gothic. It's set in the modern day. And the whole basis of it is that there's this small southern town and this swamp that everyone knows not to go near for various reasons, and there are all these sort of, you know, folklore type stories that surround the swamp about different creatures that come out of it and different things that happen to people that go into it. So the plot begins when the main character's brother, after a fight, runs away from their house and into the swamp, and instead of him coming out, a girl comes out, and then everyone, it's like their memories have just been overwritten and everyone forgets that she had a brother named Philip, and everyone just starts remembering instead that she had this sister named Lorna May, and the main character is the only person that knows that this isn't true. And so the majority of the story is about her trying to figure out what has happened to her brother and trying to get her brother back, and you know who Lorna May is, and I thought that it was cool. It had some moments that were sort of, you know, deliciously creepy. I got it on sale pretty cheaply. It was like, you know, $2 or $3 or something. And I don't know that I would have paid full price for this book, but it was definitely worth the price that I paid. So, you know, maybe check it out if you have some time. I thought it was a fun read, and it had some interesting dynamics and some cool magic things that were happening. The next book that I have to talk about is one that I am sure you guys have all been waiting for. It is The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. I have not been able to shut up about this book for months. So I finally finished it, and I thought that it was a satisfying end to this series, although I did think that it wrapped up a little quickly, and I also found the ending a little bit predictable. Like I'd kind of figured out where it was gonna go for a while. And there were also a few threads that kind of just ended. Like I expected them to be developed a little bit more, and then they kind of just faded out. So it had a little bit of a mixed ending, and so I'm not sure that, you know, I loved this book as much as the other ones, but I still really love the series, and also this book introduces Henry Chang, who is possibly my favorite character of the entire series. So I don't want to talk too much about the plot of this book because it is the 4th in a series. If you haven't read the rest of the series, I don't really want to spoil it for you because I did still really love this series and I think it is still worth checking out. I just think that the 4th book is not maybe the strongest of the series. I think probably actually, I maybe liked The Dream Thieves the best, which is book 2 of the series. Overall, I thought it was really satisfying, and oh my god, do I love Henry Chang. He is so great. He brought some really like much needed diversity and humor to the cast. He was just like really chill, and I wasn't totally sure why she was bringing him in at first, but when you figure it out, oh my god, it's amazing. So this was still really enjoyable, and I still think that the series is definitely worth checking out. So the next book that I wanted to talk to you about is the book that I did on audiobook this month. I decided to go and do another Georgette Heyer book. So this time I read Friday's Child. It is apparently one of her best known and best liked books. This definitely was not my favorite Georgette Heyer that I've ever read. I think my favorite was probably The Grand Sophie. Her books can sort of be divided into like ingenue heroines and managing heroines, and the managing ones are the ones that are a little bit older, a little bit bossier, a little bit like more active in the plot, really, honestly, which is why they're my favorite. They tend to just do more, and they tend to be a little bit more self-possessed, and Friday's Child is an ingenue heroine storyline, and so, you know, the main girl kind of just doesn't really do much. The basic plot of it is that there's a guy who proposes marriage to this, you know, the beauty who has wealth and looks and manners, etc., and she just like turns him down flat. And so in like a fit of pique, he goes and marries this like young impoverished girl that he's known his whole life. He's also known the girl that turns him down his whole life, but he goes and marries this girl named Hero who's like 16, and she's named Hero from the Much Ado About Nothing Shakespeare play. And the fact that she was 16 kind of bothered me. I mean, he's only like 22 or 23, so their age difference isn't that big, and you can sort of excuse some of his actions on him just being young and stupid. But I felt like the beginning was kind of charming. The middle went on forever, and then the ending was again pretty charming. So I feel like if she had just shortened the book, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. Also, the main guy has a problem with gambling, and that gets solved without too much fuss, but I just really don't like stories where someone is just gambling away all their money. It makes me really like anxious and uncomfortable. So it wasn't my favorite of her novels that I've ever read. That one is definitely still The Grand Sophie, but it was fun. It was kind of charming. I don't know really how to rank it. A lot of people seem to really love it, and I'm not totally sure why, if I'm honest, but you know, I don't regret listening to it / reading it, so there we go. The next one that I have to talk to you about is one that I have mentioned in a couple previous videos. It is No Love Allowed by Kate Evangelista. This is a debut novel. It is a fake dating contemporary YA story, and I bought it because I love fake dating. So you could kind of tell that this was a first novel. There were times that it felt very staged, you know, where you could definitely see the author moving around her set pieces, and I found that a little bit distracting. It kind of removed some of the emotional impact of the story for me. That's not to say that it was bad, I just thought that it was a little bit rough because it was her first novel, and you know, I'm willing to be a little bit forgiving of first novels, so I definitely still enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun romance story, but yeah, I think that the authors can maybe work on her craft a little bit more and, you know, maybe be better the next time. So the next 3 books that I have to talk to you about are all written by Rick Riordan because I continued my read of the Heroes of Olympus series. The first one that I got through was The Son of Neptune, which is book 2 in the Heroes of Olympus. And this is the one where we finally catch up with what Percy Jackson has been doing, because he's not in the first book, he's not in The Lost Hero at all. And in fact, he's missing and no one knows what's happened to him. So Son of Neptune, as we find out what happened to Percy. Then the next book is The Mark of Athena, which is when everyone meets up and the sort of end quest finally begins. And then the next book that I read was House of Hades, and this was the one that emotionally devastated me. Actually, that's a lie. They all did. So I'm not going to talk about the plot that much because 1, this series is really popular, so a lot of you maybe have already read it, and 2, if you haven't read it, these are books that are further on in the series and I want you to go read them rather than hearing me tell you all of the plot and give you all the spoilers. So I'm just gonna let you know that when I started these books, not even that long ago, maybe a couple months ago, I was genuinely not expecting to care this much. Like, the first book was pretty rough. I thought that since they were getting better that I would enjoy them and, you know, I would maybe find them entertaining. I had no idea that it was going to become so emotionally invested in all of these teen demigods and their problems and their relationships. Like, I care so much, and I had no idea that this would happen, because, like, they're written by a middle-aged white dude for 14-year-olds. Like, this was not supposed to be a series for me, and yet somehow it is absolutely for me. Like, we get romance, which I love. We get found family, which is like my huge weakness. We get, you know, relationships that are both platonic and romantic, that are built on compassion and respect and love and, you know, open communication, and it's all wonderful, and we have this like hugely diverse cast of characters that all have separate personalities and different strengths and weaknesses, and I love all of them, and like when they succeed I just feel like genuinely proud as if I had something to do with it. So I am just like obsessed with this series. I have 1 more book to read in it and I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life once it's over. But if you haven't read this series, I seriously recommend checking it out. I would start with Percy Jackson and the Olympians, even though it is, you know, not as good for me as Heroes of Olympus is, but seeing the growth is actually really rewarding. In particular, seeing Percy's growth is really rewarding because he starts as this like 12-year-old loner who has like one weird friend and like he's constantly getting into fights and stuff, and he just grows so much over the course of the series that it's really rewarding and I care about him so much. And then definitely go check out Heroes of Olympus because I need people to talk about these with. So that is everything that I read in May. It was mostly taken up by Rick Riordan, but let me just go over briefly some things that I want to read in June. Before I do that though, I have a brief announcement to make. I am taking a trip. I am leaving on Friday for a 10-day trip to London and Edinburgh. I am very excited. So my upload schedule might be a little weird because I'm not totally sure what the Wi-Fi situation is gonna be like, but I am going to be filming a lot while I'm there, including some like travel vlog type things. And I'm also planning on doing some shopping, so there might be a book haul. We'll see. So the first book that I want to read in June is The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshi. This is a book that I put in a haul a little while ago and that I actually included in my most intimidating TBR pile tag, whatever video that was, as a book that I have yet to read because it's brand new, and then I accidentally edited it out. So this did not make it into the final cut of that video, but I'm about halfway through the book right now. I am really enjoying it a lot. It is a Persephone myth mixed with Indian folklore, and I am really enjoying it. There's a lushness to this author's writing that I really like, and also I just really love Persephone myths, so that's going great. I'm hoping to finish this one before I leave, actually, because I really do not want to take any hardcover books on the plane with me. So to that end, these are the books that I am going to be taking on the plane with me. The first is City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. This one I finally figured out I can actually use for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. I'm going to be using it for the category of a murder mystery, which means that now I can actually like buckle down and read it because now it counts for a challenge. The next is Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera. This one does not fill a Pop Sugar Reading Challenge category. I just felt like reading it. And the next one is Starflight by Melissa Landers. This is for the category of a romance set in the future, I think, is what I'm gonna try to use it as. It's about like these two kids that I think get kidnapped by pirates or something. I don't know. And then, of course, I am also planning on reading the final book in the Heroes of Olympus series, which is The Blood of Olympus, I think, and it looks like this. I have an ebook version of it, so I don't actually have to carry it on the plane. I also just wanted to mention real quick before I end this video about a new app that I've been trying out. This is absolutely not sponsored, by the way, but it is called Litzy. This is what the icon looks like. It is an iOS only, so for Apple devices, but it is basically if you take sort of the functionality of Instagram with the purpose of Goodreads, it's basically an Instagram that is just for books. So you can post book reviews and blurbs and quotes and, you know, comment on other people's things and share recommendations and stuff, and I'm really enjoying it. I have never really gotten the hang of Goodreads. I've always found it a little bit too unwieldy, so Litzy really speaks to my love of just like one, playing with photos, and two, talking about books. So if you have an Apple device, I would love it if you created an account, if you let me know what it was down in the comments so that we can be friends on Litzy, because who doesn't want to talk about books all the time? I know I do. So that is going to be it for this video. Please let me know down in the comments if you've read any of the books that I mentioned, and let me know what you guys would maybe be interested in seeing from my trip to London and Edinburgh, and also follow me on Litzy because I think that would be really fun. And I will see you guys very soon with another video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!